Hello and welcome to the BA Knowledge Share. In this episode, I talk about approving of requirements, which is task 5 of the requirements lifecycle management. In the previous episode, we spoke about how to go about assessing requirements. In this episode, we talk about approving requirements and its purpose, its element, so on and so forth. The purpose of approving requirements is to obtain agreement on and approval of requirements and designs of business analysis work to continue and/or solution construction to proceed. Formality depends whether it is a predictive or adaptive model, meaning SDLC or Agile. Business analysts work with key stakeholders to gain consensus on new and changed requirements. They communicate the outcome of the discussions and track and manage the approval. Now, there are 4 elements to the approving requirements. So it's important, number one, to understand the stakeholder roles. Business analysts are responsible for obtaining stakeholder approvals and are required to understand who holds decision-making responsibility and who possesses authority for sign-off across the initiative. Business analysts also consider any influential stakeholders who should be consulted or informed about the requirements. Few stakeholders may have the authority to approve or deny changes, but many stakeholders may also be able to influence these decisions. In many instances, there's always like this hidden SME who has the knowledge and understands the requirements, and it's just that the approver would rely on the SME to say yay or nay. Number 2 is conflict and issue management. So it becomes important for the business analyst to have soft skills such as conflict and issue management in order to manage any sort of issues with stakeholders or any sort of conflict between stakeholders in order to get through the approval process. Gaining consensus, making sure that everyone is on the same page and everyone approves of the requirement changes and decisions moving forward. Tracking and communicating approval, meaning ensuring that the approval decisions, etc., are all communicated to the stakeholders and clearly defined. So this is kind of a critical path for the business analyst. The next one is guidelines and tools, which are used here, which is number 1 is change strategy, 2 is governance approach, 3 is legal regulatory information, 4 is requirements management tools and report, and the last one is solution scope. Techniques used here are acceptance and evaluation criteria, which is essentially more so the acceptance criteria. What does good look like for the business? And so that's kind of defines acceptance and evaluation criteria. The next one is item tracking to track statuses, where the approvals are, so on and so forth. Review of the requirements. Workshops, they're used to kind of understand, well, how does this requirement impact the changes and how to go about seeking approval, and decision analysis, critical tool used in decisioning, understanding, breaking down the options and understanding, the impacts. And then the last one is the stakeholders involved in this. And then I think there's pretty much everyone, customers and users, domain SME, project manager, operational support, tester, regulator, and sponsor. Now, we've been going through a case study with Amanda, who's a business analyst who's moving the restaurant business from being a brick and mortar store to that of being online. And currently they have a very static website, so they want to make it more user-friendly by introducing payment methods, delivery, and a bunch more of functionality. So Amanda has the requirements that are verified and the design that's verified as well. She's looking to obtain an agreement on any incoming changes. She's using her backlog and intake process to continue any solution construction. In order to seek agreement on the changes, she needs to understand the roles of the stakeholders, get familiar with conflict and issue management, gain consensus, track and communicate approval. So in this case, Amanda is working with the finance and operations departments, and they're not always on the same page. So she's using negotiation skills to kind of work her way through and making them understand what each requirement means for each one of them, and having them make that decision. She uses many tools such as voting, consensus building to arrive at the approval. She uses couple guidelines and tools, which is a state exchange strategy, governance approach, legal regulatory information, requirement management tools, and repository and solution scope. Techniques that she employs are acceptance and evaluation criteria, decision analysis, item tracking, reviews, and workshops. She can't prioritize the requirements by herself, so she works with Ben, who is a customer, the domain subject matter expert, and the end user, Sean, who is a sponsor, the solution architect, who is the implementation SME, the project manager, Tim, and the health regulator. So thank you so much for listening to this episode. I look forward to seeing you on the other episodes with the BABOK guide. And until next time, see you then. Please do consider subscribing to this channel as well as visiting our website, baknowledgeshare.com, that has some really good tips and tools for existing BAs or just BAs in general.